I've been really on my own when I think about it. Yeah, my house is not a home when I think about it. I've been feeling so alone when I think about it. Yeah, nobody really got me when I think about it. I'm really on my own when I think about it.
What is good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Simba coming back here again with another reaction video for you guys today. For today's reaction video, we got You'll Never Drink This Again, knowing how it's made of. Let's jump up in it.
There are generally no hidden ingredients or weird processes associated with your average fruit or vegetable. You bite into a banana and you know it's a banana. But manufactured and processed foods are different, and some have pretty shocking ingredients and processes.
Is that noodles?
From Pringles to red food, here are 20 foods you'll never buy again after knowing how they're made. Number 20. Coca-Cola. There are a few beverages as thirst-quenching on a hot summer's day than a crisp, refreshing bottle of Coca-Cola. But there's possibly a chance you'll never drink this again knowing how it's made, what it's made of, and how it interacts with your body.
Didn't there used to be like actual cocaine in that? Or is that a myth? Y'all let me know, man.
No one except a select few Coca-Cola staff members knows exactly what the Coca-Cola formula is, since it's a heavily guarded trade secret. Although we do know that it contains concentrate, coca leaf, without the cocaine now of course, cola nut, flavoring, acid, and sugar. Somehow, all these ingredients and the secret formula come together and create a great thirst-quenching beverage that you can't help but love when the sun's beating down. But it's not all hydration and happiness after consuming Coca-Cola. Some experts believe that it does some pretty weird things to your body. We all know soda is bad for us, so it's probably not surprising to learn that a regular can of Coca-Cola contains about 39 grams of sugar.
Damn!
Studies have shown that sugar-sweetened beverages can be linked to the onset of type 2 diabetes, which means that you might be at an increased risk if you consume such drinks often. Coca-Cola and other similar beverages might also make you gain weight due to the calories and sugar, and you might even experience surface stains on your teeth and dental erosion. It's a nice treat, but this drink is certainly not something you should consume every day.
Before we go on, like this
Coca-Cola.
video, smash the subscribe
So
button
nasty
and
to
click
me.
the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
Say what?
Number 19. Chewing gum. Many people love chewing gum. It tastes nice, sometimes freshens your breath, and gives your mouth something to do. But there's so much you probably don't know about chewing gum that might have you questioning just how much you chew it. First of all, you're most likely chewing a secretion from sheep's wool. Imagine chewing
I'm sorry,
on wool.
what?
My mouth tingles just thinking about it. Chewing gum contains a waxy secretion from the sebaceous glands of sheep known as lanolin. On the sheep, this makes their wool waterproof, but in chewing gum, it gives it that chewiness that we love. There are also many other ingredients often included in the gum base, such as glycerol esters from resin and gum resin, polyethylene, and polyvinyl acetate. Then there are the ingredients that make gum soft, vegetable oil, and glycerin. And of course, the sweeteners, like sucralose, xylitol, and sorbitol. Some gums are manufactured for taste, while others are created with medical functions, like giving up smoking, offering nutrition, and increasing alertness. Chewing gum definitely isn't one of the most harmful things you can put in your mouth, but there are some hazards associated with it. It can trigger temporomandibular joint disorder and even cause gastrointestinal problems. You might also experience diarrhea with chewing gum if you're sensitive to artificial sweetener.
Really? See, when I don't use gum, because whenever I use gum, whenever you chew gum, it makes me hungry for some reason. It just makes me hungry. And then you can't swallow it. So it's like, for me, I don't like it. Like, I don't like it. There's no point of me sitting here popping my gums. I don't like that.
Number 18. Nutella.
Oh, come on, man. What's in
Nutella
there? I
contains
love
sugar,
Nutella.
modified palm oil, vanillin, cocoa, lecithin, skimmed milk powder, hazelnuts, and whey powder. None of these really sound all that nutritious, and yet Nutella used to be advertised as part of a nutritious breakfast. In reality, it's a sweet treat that contains 70% saturated fat and processed sugar by weight. Just 2 tablespoons of Nutella contains 200 calories, 99 of which come from 11 grams of fat and 80 from 21 grams of sugar. According to an online blog, the hazelnut spread's creator, Ferrero, actually came under fire in the United States. They were sued in a class action lawsuit for false advertising, leading people to believe it had health benefits and was nutritional. In
That's
the
what I
lawsuit,
thought.
they were sued for health washing and had to pay $3 million to customers named in the lawsuit. The lawsuit also came with a requirement for Ferrero to change their advertising and labeling to avoid making consumers think it was a healthy breakfast staple. There's no denying that having Nutella on toast is a delicious snack, but it is by no means an overly healthy one. You're probably setting yourself up for a sugar rush, followed by a crash. Number 17. Pringles. Look, I'll be the first to admit, I love eating potato chips. They're so Moorish and the perfect
So
snack
good.
to enjoy on the sofa while you watch your favorite TV show. But I'll also be the first to admit that I know they're unhealthy. What I didn't know, though, was just how unhealthy they are, especially Pringles. According to online resources, the Pringles company wanted to avoid taxes against luxury foods in the UK. So they argued that the potato content of their chips was so low that they technically weren't even potato chips. I'm sorry, pardon? That's right. The potato chips you're eating from a can have the merest hint of our starchy friend. Pringles actually contain rice, wheat, corn, and potato flakes
Rice?
in a weird kind of slurry mixture, which is then pressed into a shape, rolled out into a thin sheet,
What the f? Now that is wild. What? Rice? That's crazy. I don't know what.
and cut into shapes. It then moves forward on a conveyor belt and is pressed into molds to ensure they all stack neatly in those frustrating cans you get your hands stuck in. The molds then move through boiling oil before being sprayed with powdered flavors. This doesn't sound all that great, to be fair, but could the worst be yet to come? Probably. According to online sources, a cancer-causing chemical called acrylamide is created when carb-rich foods like potatoes are cooked at high temperatures. It can be found in many everyday things like water. Still, an analysis by Environmental Law Foundation found that all potato chip products they tested exceeded legal limits by 39 times and up to 910 times.
What?
Number 16.
Oh, they really don't care about us.
Instant noodles. Let's
I love
face it,
noodles.
most of us have reached into our
I love
pantry at one
ramen.
time or another for a packet of instant noodles. They're easy to cook, take minimal preparation, and can be pretty delicious. But if you knew how they were made and what they contained, you might be having them less often. Instant noodles are designed to have a long shelf life, so it doesn't take a genius to work out that they are pretty processed. They also have very little nutritional content on their own, are typically high in fat, sodium, and calories, and often have extra bits and bobs like flavorings, additives, preservatives, and artificial colors. Some instant noodles also contain monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG, and tertiary butyl hydroquinone, a chemical preservative from the petroleum industry. Recent studies haven't been painting a super great picture of instant noodles. One said that excessive consumption of instant noodles might trigger obesity and lead to other conditions like diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, and heart problems. Most instant noodles feature maida, which is wheat flour that has been milled, refined, and bleached. It's rich in flavor but extremely processed and has minimal to no nutritional value. Studies have also found that maida-based noodles can wreak havoc on our digestive health. And
Really?
some remnants might even reach the appendix and trigger an infection. Number 15. Kazu marzu. Imagine a food being so downright disgusting and
Is it
awful
moving?
that it's actually illegal. That's the case with Kazu marzu, also known as maggot cheese.
I'm sorry,
This cheese comes
what?
from the
Who the hell is eating that? Maggot cheese? That's what we talking about? It's moving and stuff. That's come on, bro. Let's we gotta do better. We gotta do better.
Mediterranean island of Sardinia and has sheep milk and live insect larvae, also known as maggots. It comes from pecorino,
Why?
but this cheese is taken far beyond the traditional fermentation stage, all the way to decomposition. The larvae of the cheese fly are deliberately put inside the cheese and break down the cheese fat. As a result, the cheese becomes soft and even has liquid seeping out of it. But that's not even the grossest part. After dining on all the cheese fat, the larvae are left inside the cheese, and people eat it with the maggots. In fact, some Sardinian people only think the cheese is unsafe once the maggots have died. Most people serve the cheese cut into thin strips and spread onto flatbread. They then eat it with a robust red wine. As you might have guessed, scientists and medical professionals advise against eating this cheese.
Well, yeah.
They say it's possible for the larva to survive in your stomach acid, remain in the intestine, and cause a condition called pseudomyosis. This is a parasitic infestation that can sometimes lead to sores, irritation, and other uncomfortable symptoms. The cheese has been outlawed, and offenders face expensive fines if they are caught selling it. However, some Sardinians make and sell Kazu marzu on the black market. Number 14. Jelly beans. Jelly beans are a
That had to be
delicious
the
but
worst
very
one.
sugary treat. They are
What?
bright,
That should've been
colorful,
number one.
and very Moorish. But you might not let another one pass through your lips when you learn what makes them hard and shiny. Spoiler alert, it's poo. Okay, so it's less horrific than you think, and you might even give jelly bean makers points for sustainability and creativity. They're coated in something called shellac, which is a resin that the female lac bug secretes after she drinks tree sap. Lac bugs come from forests in India and Thailand, and they deposit their shellac onto the branches and twigs.
I'm sorry, what? They got people out here eating poo? Poopy mouse? Look, I never liked jelly beans, and I never will put one in my mouth ever again. I tell you that much. That is disgusting. I don't care what type of poo it is, what insect, like, no, that's disgusting, bro. What?
People then come in and harvest it before processing it into flakes. Once it's in flake form, it's dissolved
That's
in
so
ethanol and sprayed onto a
disgusting, G.
wide range of products like hardwood flooring,
Wow.
fingernails, and, you guessed it, jelly beans. It's even often used to replace the natural wax found on apples, which is removed during the cleaning process. As shellac is an animal byproduct, jelly beans are not suitable for vegans, and you might see it listed on ingredient packaging as E904. Number 13. Cheese. We are a nation of cheese lovers, with the exclusion of maggoty cheese, of course, and all cheese is made with the same basic ingredient, milk and an enzyme. We've been eating cheese for at least 8,000 years, and it's thought to have come from Asia Minor to ancient Rome, with the Roman Empire going crazy with artisanal cheese making. They loved it. Making cheese is fairly complex. It requires milk, an enzyme for coagulation and to help it set, and a method for removing excess water. Once the basics are out of the way, the cheese can be aged, flavored, and cut in many different ways. But the way we manufacture cheese is far less gross now than it used to be. Experts think that the origins of cheese probably came from the stomach of a sheep. Sheep were domesticated around 8000 BCE and were known to be desirable sources of milk, meat, and wool. However, their stomachs were also put to good use. Once removed from their bodies, people used them to transport fresh milk. But what people didn't know back then was that the stomach of a sheep contains rennin, which is an enzyme we use to make cheese. Over long distances, milk transported in sheep stomachs would curdle and turn into curds. Therefore, cheese curds might have been the first type of cheese we started eating.
Ew!
Number 12. Vanilla flavoring. If you've ever eaten a delicious vanilla-flavored treat, pay attention to the ingredients listed on the packaging. If it says natural flavoring and your treat was far more expensive than other vanilla-flavored goods, you might be eating beaver bum goop. After you've taken a break to vomit, I'll explain what I mean.
I'm sorry,
Beavers
what?
secrete a goop
Like,
out of their
yeah,
butts
explain
called
to me,
castoreum,
sir.
which is something they use to mark their territory. Castoreum is listed as an additive by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which they describe as generally regarded as safe. And this beaver goop has been used in food and perfumes for at least 90 plus years. If you were to stick your face in the butt of a beaver, you wouldn't smell something awful. Instead, you'd smell a musty, vanilla-like scent. You'd also spot a brown, molasses-like slime. While most animals have quite gross-smelling anal secretions, the beaver's diet of bark and leaves makes their smell quite lovely. As you have to anesthetize beavers to milk their anuses. Alright, another vomit break. Only around 292 pounds are produced each year. So most vanilla-flavored products you purchase come from synthetic vanillin, a compound found in natural vanilla from wood pulp or guaiacol, a petroleum derivative. Number 11. Red Bull Energy Drink. We all know that energy drinks like Red Bull are a sometimes beverage, as in it's generally not good for you to consume them often. But the sugar and caffeine content probably isn't why you would stop drinking Red Bull. It's likely more to do with the rumors about bull semen being one of the main ingredients. Now, before you spit out your drink, I'll dispel that rumor real.
Is it a rumor? Because he said rumor. Hold on, let me go back. Because I always thought it did have bull semen in it.
Probably isn't why you would stop drinking Red Bull. It's likely more to do with the rumors about bull semen being one of the main ingredients. Now, before you spit out your drink, I'll dispel that rumor real quick. Red Bull doesn't contain bull semen, but I'll explain why people thought it did. Red Bull and many other energy drinks contain taurine. Taurine is a byproduct of sulfurous amino acids, and it was named after the Latin word taurus, which means bull or ox. Taurine used to be extracted from ox bile and bull semen. The human body uses taurine to reduce stress and control anxiety, since it's known to lower cortisol levels while improving endurance and performance. It's found in animal tissues, but we also have it in our own intestines. Knowing that it can also come from bull semen, people assumed it was in Red Bull, and a Texas company even claimed to have tested the drink and found bull sperm in it. But that's not true. The taurine in Red Bull is synthetically produced in laboratories. Number 10.
That's good to know.
Red food. The next time you tuck into your favorite red snack, take a moment to ponder how the manufacturer managed to produce that red color. It's bugs. They used bugs.
I'm sorry,
if you
what?
ever see any products listed with ingredients like natural red 4, cochineal extract, or carmine, you know your food contains a crushed up little bug. The bug is called the cochineal, and only the female ones are used to produce red coloring. It all began in the 1500s when Europeans started making their way into South America. They noticed that the Aztecs were producing beautiful dyed fabrics, and the colors stayed vibrant for a long time, so dried cochineal bugs became a hot commodity. These days, most cochineals we use for red coloring come from the Canary Islands and Peru. They are taken from prickly pear cacti, dried in the sun, crushed, and dunked in an acidic alcohol solution to make carminic acid. This pigment becomes the cochineal extract, and about 70,000 of the bugs are needed for just 1 pound of dye. Many manufacturers prefer using bugs for red dye because it doesn't have any known health risks, although it is an allergen and, of course, isn't vegan. The alternative would be a synthetic red dye, like red number 2 and red number 4, both of which often have more health risks and are byproducts of coal or petroleum. So it's your choice, bugs or coal. Number 9. Processed meat. As a nation, we love meat. We love sausages, hot dogs, salami, bacon, ham, smoked meat, dried meat, canned meat, beef jerky, the list goes on. But what all these meat types have in common is that they are all processed, which means they go through a curing, drying, canning, salting, and smoking process. Sure, most people love the occasional processed meat treat, but did you know that it's not all that good for you? Some studies have shown a consistent link between processed meat and chronic diseases. You might be more at risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, and bowel and stomach cancer. Though it's worth telling you that if you eat processed meat often, you might be more likely to get such illnesses, but there currently isn't any evidence to suggest that processed meat causes them. You might also be more likely to have other bad habits if you eat lots of processed meat, and these bad habits, like smoking and excess alcohol consumption, might also contribute. According to current evidence, 3 chemicals have been linked to colorectal cancer, one that's found naturally in meat, and 2 others that develop or are added during their processing. These include heme, naturally found in red meat, nitrates and nitrites that are added to keep processed meat fresher for longer, and heterocyclic and polycyclic amines, which occur when meat is cooked at high temperatures. Number 8. Honey. We are often told how good honey is for us. It's a natural sweetener, an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, and an antibacterial agent. People even use it to treat burns, coughs, and wounds. But it could also make you very, very sick. There's
Really?
something called mad honey poisoning, and it's an illness that can happen when you ingest honey containing granotoxins from plants from the Ericaceae family, like rhododendrons. Granotoxins are neurotoxins and can severely affect your muscles and nerves. If you get mad honey poisoning, you can experience dizziness, weakness, nausea, vomiting, hypersalivation, excess perspiration, and paresthesia. Some people even have low blood pressure and go into shock. The World Health Organization said you should not be giving honey to infants under 1 year old, and the risk of mad honey poisoning is definitely one of the reasons why. In saying that, the other reason is that honey can contain Clostridium botulinum spores, which can lead to botulism. Now, most people are not at risk of mad honey poisoning, especially if they buy honey from reliable sources. However, people living or traveling in the Black Sea region of Turkey are being told to take care, since poisoning has been reported in this area. Number 7. Gelatin. If you love yogurt, ice cream, marshmallows, candy, puddings, cakes, and other delicious sweet treats, you might be a little disturbed to learn about one of the main ingredients. It's gelatin, and it's made from a protein that manufacturers obtain by boiling down bones, ligaments, tendons, and skin from cows and pigs. Gelatin is see-through, flavorless, and colorless, and is brittle when dry and rubbery when wet. Knowing this information about gelatin is enough to make your stomach turn, even if the finished product is delicious. Gelatin is also used in products you can't eat, such as shampoo, cosmetics, and face masks. It's such a versatile product that about 620,000 tons of it were produced in 2019, with most of it coming from the meat and leather industries as a byproduct. Fortunately, you can avoid gelatin. You just have to give up all your favorite treats and opt for vegan alternatives. There's a product called Agar Agar that vegan product manufacturers use as a similar alternative. Rather than being made from body parts, it uses a type of seaweed. Number 6. Peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
Is
What's
one
in
of
it?
those spreads that you
Other than
either
peanuts?
love or hate. And if you love it, get ready to hate it. Sure, there's plenty to love about peanut butter. The decent, high-quality stuff has plenty of niacin, thiamine, folate, magnesium, and polyphenols. But it also has naturally occurring aflatoxins, or mycotoxins. These come from the Aspergillus fungus family, and peanuts are particularly susceptible to the fungus. Our livers metabolize the toxins, and at high doses, they can actually become carcinogenic. In studies, high levels of aflatoxin in the blood were thought to be linked to stunted growth in children. And that's pretty bad, but that's not all there is to hate about peanut butter. There's also the rat hair. The FDA calls it a natural contaminant along with insect parts, but it's a horrific thought as you chow down on your peanut butter on toast. Some experts believe there could be as many as 30 insect pieces.
Bro, it's so wild to hear what these people are putting in our foods. Like, that is so crazy. I didn't know a lot of these. You feel me? I probably knew like one or two. Like, I didn't know a lot of these. Like, and it's mind-blowing that it's just legal for them to put rat hair in my food. Like, what?
In 100 grams of peanut butter and 1 or more rodent hairs. Most people aren't going to be affected by these contaminants, at least not physically, but if you have asthma or an allergy, you might experience some irritation. Number 5. Marshmallows. Marshmallows are delicious, especially when stabbed onto a stick and placed over a roaring campfire. You can then bite through the crusty exterior and enjoy the delightful gooiness inside. And we all know that marshmallows aren't good for us. After all, they are mainly sugar. But sugar is not the only potential problem with marshmallows. So is how we prepare them. If you regularly eat burned marshmallows, whether you cook them on a campfire or over a gas cooker, you might experience health consequences in the future. Burned foods have compounds linked to severe health conditions like cancer, kidney problems, and diabetes. Any food you char, burn, barbecue, or smoke definitely tastes great, but you might be eating food with toxins in them, such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. The longer you cook your food and the closer you place it to the heat source, the more of these toxins they might contain. Then there's the fact that marshmallows pretty much have no nutrients. They are primarily carbs and sugar. There are no huge amounts of vitamins and minerals, next to no protein and no fats or dietary fiber. Number 4. Sour candy. If you're a fan of sour candy, you might be curious about how manufacturers make the candy so sour. Some variants are so potent that you can't help but screw your eyes up and need a glass of water to give your tongue some much-needed relief. There are a number of different acids that go into the creation of sour candy. The most common is, of course, citric acid, which is naturally found in citrus fruits like grapefruit, lemons, and even some berry varieties. Citric acid is an antioxidant, and it's even been used to prevent kidney stones. But it's not the only acid present in sour candy. If you've ever had that super potent sour candy, like Warheads, you've likely experienced malic acid. It gives candy its intense flavor, but is also present naturally in our bodies and within Granny Smith apples, cherries, tomatoes, and apricots. Some sour candy manufacturers also use ascorbic acid, known as vitamin C. There's also fumaric acid, which some people say produces some of the most potent sourness while also lasting longer. It's even naturally occurring in tomatoes, apples, carrots, and beans. Finally, tartaric acid. Tartaric acid is found naturally in grapes, tamarinds, bananas, and wine, and is used to make baking powder and cream of tartar. Number 3. Fugu. Fugu, also known as blowfish or pufferfish, is one of the deadliest sea creatures in the world. Most of us would stay well away from it knowing this, but some curious chefs clearly like to challenge and decided they'd devise a way to eat them and try not to kill themselves and their customers. Sometimes they succeed, and sometimes they don't. Dozens of people die from eating pufferfish each year.
Really?
These fish are a delicacy in Japan and a select few other countries, but they are incredibly dangerous. They contain a potent neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin, and enough of it to kill over 30 adults. And that's after it's been filleted for consumption. Now, if you fillet it properly, there's no toxin and you live. But if you fillet it wrong, you die. You're playing a dangerous game just for a piece of fugu sushi.
Right.
But not just anyone can prepare fugu for sale. You have to have a license, and there are only a select few people who hold such a license. Once the fish is killed, the chef cuts open the head to remove the brain and eyes, which are then placed on a tray marked non-edible. The chef will then remove the skin before cutting at the guts. The guts are typically the most poisonous part, including the ovaries, liver, and intestines. It's believed the poison within the body of a fugu is about 200 times more potent than cyanide. Number 2.
That's wild.
Raw oysters. Raw oysters are a delicacy, and many people love visiting their local raw oyster bars for a chance to dine on this delicious treat. And yeah, before you say it, I know they're an acquired taste, and not everyone likes raw oysters.
Yeah.
In fact, some people say it's like eating snot. But let's say you do like eating raw oysters. Would you stop eating them if you knew you might be at risk of serious illness? A bacteria called Vibrio is found naturally in coastal waters where oysters like to live. As oysters filter water while feeding, the bacteria can end up in their tissues. When you eat raw or undercooked oysters, that bacteria can make you sick. Some people experience diarrhea and vomiting, which can be awful enough, but some also develop serious problems like bloodstream infections and blistering skin lesions. And these can be so severe that people require limb amputations and intensive care. Up to 30% of infections are fatal. The best way to avoid getting sick from harmful bacteria is is by cooking your oysters properly. Number 1. Fishy beer. You might assume it's easy for vegans to know what they can eat, but it's not always obvious what contains animal byproducts and what doesn't. Beer, for example, includes hops, water, barley, malt, and yeast, but who would have thought it also contains fish swim bladders? Some of your favorite beer varieties might contain fish, and you didn't even know
What?
it. It's called isinglass, and it's a type of gelatin from the fish organ that both small and large breweries use. Apparently, beer brewers have been using swim bladders since the 19th century as a way to make beer bright, clear, and more attractive to people wishing to quench their thirst. Fortunately, many breweries are starting to step away from the practice. After all, there's no way to glamorize filtering beer through dead fish in your marketing materials. Some breweries are now steering away from fining agents like the fish altogether, and many are opting for vegetarian-friendly alternatives like derivatives of seaweed and algae Irish moss. It's only natural to get a little snackish sometimes and reach for
Nah, bro. Those are completely wild. Like, I'm shook, bro. I am shook. I can't believe it. That is disgusting. The type of stuff that is in these foods that they just let be in there and didn't tell nobody. I'm gonna start reading ingredients on things that I buy. Watch, I'm gonna start reading ingredients. I'm gonna be aware. You ain't gonna catch me slipping, man. But if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. Thank you guys for commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.